Football boots nowadays are very expensive and are somewhat of an investment. So in this video, I'm going to show you a few ways in which you can keep your football boots as long as possible so you can get your money's worth. Now, before I share some of these methods, there are a few things that you need to consider. So number one, the material of your football boots does matter. Nowadays, football boots are made from all sorts of materials such as leather, synthetics, knit, textiles, you name it. And each football boot's durability will be different based on the materials and its construction, but for the most part, leather football boots tend to be the most durable. And number two is, how often do you play? A common question that people ask is, how long should football boots last? Some people say a year, some people say 6 months. You get all types of different ranges. But instead of looking at it like that, you should be thinking, how often do you play? Think of your football boots as like a ink pen, for example. If someone writes a page worth of writing every single day, compared to someone who writes a page worth once a week, the person who writes every day, their pen's gonna run out of ink sooner. And it's the same with football boots. The more you use them, the more wear and tear that they experience and the faster that they break down. So if you're someone who plays or trains 3 to 4 times a week, your boots are not going to last as long as someone who plays or trains like once a week. Now let's get into ways to make your football boots last as long as possible. Number one, and this is one I always shout about on this channel, is that make sure you're using your football boots on the correct playing surface. Now, I know a lot of you use your FG boots on artificial pitches, so 3G, 4G pitches, and that's where you could be going wrong. Artificial grass pitches are more abrasive than natural grass pitches, and because they're more abrasive, that means they're harsher on your football boots in terms of wear and tear. So that means things like sole separation, the upper material ripping, or your studs getting worn down will happen sooner if you're using the incorrect footwear on the playing surface. And the best solution would be to get a pair of AG boots that you can use on these surfaces, as they're actually built to actually survive the rigors and the abrasiveness of playing on artificial grass pitches. It's a bit counterintuitive, but that's probably the best option there. But I can understand not everyone has the luxury of being able to afford a second pair of football boots. And at the worst, maybe invest in a cheap pair of Astros or boots that you can use on these pitches for training, etc. And number two would be cleaning your football boots. Each time you play in your football boots, you should be cleaning them afterwards. I know if you just played a game, you're going to be tired, so cleaning them might feel like a chore. But cleaning them soon after you play might be the difference between how long your football boots last. So if it's muddy, if you leave the mud on your boots too long, it will dry out the upper materials or just the materials of your boots and make them stiff and sometimes lead to cracking or ripping. And if it's been raining and they're too wet and left too long, the excess moisture will seep into the materials of your boots, the adhesives, the seams of your boot, just like weaken the materials, and things like sole separation, just the breakdown of your boots will happen faster. And even if it's dry and not so muddy when you play, there's still moisture from the sweat. If left unclean, that can, build up and fester in your football boots. And again, that excess moisture can weaken the materials and lead to the faster deterioration of your football boots. So even if it's a quick scrub with like some warm water, maybe just water at all, and some soap, it might be helpful. Number three is proper storage. This is kind of linked to point two, but it's very important how you store your football boots as well. Now, the only time your football boots should be inside a bag is when you're going to and from games, and or when they're completely dry. This is because when your boots are in enclosed space while they're damp, moisture can't escape. So there's this buildup of excess moisture from the sweat from your boots, if they're wet, so water from if it's raining or if you just clean them, as well as just moisture from the air from the enclosed space. Again, this excess moisture will seep into the materials of your boots and the adhesives that make up your boot and weaken them, and then they're more susceptible to falling apart quicker. So what you want to do when your boots are wet or damp is leave them in a dry area which isn't airlocked. And that's so they can air out and dry properly. And to dry the inside of your boots a bit quicker, I recommend using like paper towels or old newspaper. Number four is using cedar wood shoe trees. Even when your boots are dry, there's still a bit more that you can do to, just extend their lifetime a bit more. And that's using cedar wood trees. Shoe trees in general stop your boots from creasing and help them keep their shape, but cedar wood trees help wick away moisture inside of your boots. This helps them dry quicker, and they also have antimicrobial properties, so they won't have any bad smells because they're getting rid of bacteria. Number five is watching where you step. This is a cliche one, but avoid wearing your boots on concrete or stone as much as possible, especially metal studs. And that's because, stone, concrete, it's very abrasive and you'll wear down your studs much quicker. In fact, that sound that you hear when you're walking on stone or concrete with your football boots is the sound of your studs sharpening. I'd always recommend wearing slides or trainers onto your pit side, then you can change into your boots. And the final one, number 6, avoid harmful braking hacks. So things like submerging your boots in water, putting them in a microwave, or exposing them to heat for extended periods of time is very harmful to your football boots. Now your boots won't fall apart straight away, but it will do some damage to the materials that make up your boots, so they won't last as long. Now using these hacks is a bit of a gamble because sometimes your boots do last and sometimes they don't. But even when you do use them and they last for a bit, I'd say they'd last even longer without these kind of harmful hacks. And unless you're someone who's supplied with boots and sent them regularly, I'd avoid braking hacks altogether. I think with like most modern boots, you don't even need braking hacks anyway. I think after maybe 1 or 2 sessions, most football boots nowadays are broken in. And at the most, I would just steam the inside of your football boots, but not for too long. That's the furthest I'd go with like braking hacks. But that's been it for the video, guys. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like. Like always, follow me on my socials. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. My name is Sub. This has been Substanceable. Thank you for watching. See you next time.